class.
Good morning, ma'am.
Our topic for today is Constitution under Civic Education. So for today's lesson, we are going to be looking at the meaning of the Constitution, the classification of the Constitution, and also we are going to be looking at one of the constitutions that have been developed in Nigeria, which is the Clifford Constitution. Now, firstly, meaning of the Constitution. What is Constitution? What do you understand by Constitution? Constitution can be defined as a body of rules and regulations by which a state, nation, or country is being governed. Constitution is a body of rules and regulations by which a state, nation, or country is being governed. And also, Constitution outlines and states the do's and don'ts of the citizen in a particular country. That is what a citizen is expected to do and what we are not expected to do, and the penalties that will go in line with the violation if a particular individual violates a particular rules and regulations. I repeat, Constitution can be defined as a body of rules and regulations by which a state, a country is being governed or administered. Now, it also outlines our do's and don'ts as a citizen of a particular country, and also we state the penalties for violation of that particular rule. We also have it also stipulates or outlines and defines the structure, functions, and power of the different, we can call it organs or arms of government. Constitution also stipulates, outlines, and defines the structure, functions, and power of different organs of government, which are the organs of government are now the executive, the judiciary, the legislature. As we all know, the function of the legislative is to implement law. The function of the judiciary is they will interpret law, and the last one, legislative, they make law. So the Constitution is the one that stipulates, that outline the organs of government, their functions, their power, their structure. Executive implements law, judiciary interprets law, and legislative they make law. Now, moving forward, we are going to be looking at the classification of the Constitution. Number one is Constitution can be classified under written and unwritten. Talking about written Constitution, it stated that a Constitution is said to be written if we can find all the rules, all the regulations, everything inside a single document. That is, all the Constitution, all the rules can be traced to a single document. And also, when we talk about unwritten Constitution, that one is talking about where if a constitution we can't find it in a single document, they are scattered. We cannot find it inside a single document. Another question or order based on rigid and flexible is dealing with the process of its amendment, that is the step on its amendment. Written constitution is said to be process of amendment is very tough. It is not easy to amend. It is not something you can just sit and start writing and amending it. No. That one is talking about reading. When a constitution is very difficult to amend, it's said to be rigid. While flexible constitution that deals with the process of its amendment is very flexible, it's very simple. You can easily go there and amend it. So now we are now going to be looking at one of the constitutions that Nigeria has made use of in the past, which is we have Clifford Constitution, we have Macpherson, we have Richard. But today we are going to be looking at Clifford Constitution of Clifford Constitution 1922. This constitution was adopted in the year 1922. So we are going to be looking at its features, its merits and demerits, that is, characteristics, the advantages and disadvantages of this Clifford Constitution. One of the characteristics now of Clifford one of the characteristics of Clifford Constitution is the establishment of legislative and executive council in Lagos. The Clifford Constitution established, during this Clifford Constitution, there was establishment of the executive and the legislative council in Lagos. Another one is, there is total number of 46 members of the legislative, including their governor. So during the Clifford Constitution, there is a number of 46 members of the legislative, that people making law, they are 46 in numbers with their governor. Another one is it gives room for elective principle. And what do we mean by elective principle? That is, people are given the right to choose their leader. Now, we are going to be looking at advantages and disadvantages of this Clifford Constitution. One of it is one of the advantages is it encourages development of political party. Another one is members of the legislative were increased to 46. And lastly, it provides wide scope for Africans to participate in politics. Now, the demerit of this Clifford Constitution is that Africans were excluded from this legislative, from the executive and legislative council, and the whites were the one that dominates the legislative council. Okay, so we have looked at the Constitution, we have looked at the meaning of Constitution, we have looked at classification of the Constitution, we treated Clifford Constitution, we looked at the merits, the demerits, the features. Now your take home for today will now be state 5 features of the Richard Constitution 1946. You know, I do that. Everyone have been, Nigeria have made use of different constitutions, which are the Clifford, the Macpherson, the Richard Constitution. So get me 5 pictures of Richard Constitution of 1946. Thank you for listening.